You begin by doing very little. You allow the room around you to soften. Light dims. Sound drifts farther away. Your breath arrives on its own, unhurried, steady, patient. In this quiet, you turn your attention inward, not searching, not fixing, simply noticing. You imagine stepping into a garden that you have always carried, one that opens only at night. The air here feels cool and kind, not cold, just calm. Bare feet meet soft soil, dark and welcoming, holding the warmth of the day. Above you, the garden rests under moonlight, leaves barely moving, shadows long and gentle. Nothing rushes. Nothing asks you to understand it yet. You breathe in slowly. You breathe out even more slowly. With each breath, the garden becomes clearer, as if it has been waiting for your attention, not impatiently, just quietly. This garden is your body, though it does not feel mechanical or demanding. It feels alive in a comfortable way, like a place that knows how to take care of itself. Beneath the surface of the soil, unseen but deeply present, live countless tiny caretakers. They do not announce themselves. They do not carry flags or alarms. They simply live here, together, forming the soft foundation of the garden. These are your microbes, and they are not visitors. They are residents. You might smile at the thought. A small one, the kind that barely moves your face. After all, you have never truly been alone, even in moments that felt quiet or empty. Life has always been humming gently beneath the surface, like a distant electrical sound you only notice when everything else goes silent. The microbes tend the soil without needing instruction. They break things down. They share space. They leave room for others who belong. This is not a battle scene. There are no flashing lights or urgent warnings. There is only maintenance, the slow, steady kind that works best when unnoticed. You feel warmth in your chest, spreading outward, not dramatic, just reassuring. Your breath continues its calm rhythm, and the garden responds, leaves settling, soil loosening slightly, as if listening. Turns out your body is an excellent listener. It has had a lot of practice. Science often describes microbes as tiny living organisms that share your space. But here, in this quiet garden, they feel more like caretakers with muddy hands and endless patience. They are part of a system that values balance over force, presence over control. They thrive by being many, by being together, by filling space gently and completely. You imagine them moving slowly through the soil, exchanging signals like neighbors passing quiet greetings over a fence. Nothing loud, nothing dramatic, just constant, subtle communication. It is almost funny, in a soft way, to realize how much important conversation happens without your awareness. Your body, it seems, prefers whispering. The night air brushes your skin, and you feel grounded, held, supported from below. The garden does not judge how you arrived here. It does not ask where you have been. It simply continues doing what it has always done. As you breathe, you notice how safe this feels. Not because nothing ever goes wrong, but because so much is already working quietly in your favor. Protection, you realize, does not always look like armor. Sometimes it looks like community. You pause here for a moment. A longer pause. Your breathing deepens naturally, stretching the space between thoughts. The garden grows still, though not inactive. Below the surface, life continues its gentle motion, unseen and reliable. You may feel your shoulders sink slightly, your jaw loosen, your forehead smooth. These small changes matter. They tell the garden that the night is calm, that there is no need to rush. The microbes respond in their own way, continuing their quiet routines, confident in the rhythm they know so well. You remember, or perhaps realize for the first time, that nothing here began empty. From your earliest moments, this garden has been filling itself, shaping itself, learning what belongs. It did not wait for permission. It simply grew. The moonlight shifts and your eyes adjust. First, everything seems still. Now, with patience, you begin to notice movement in the soil itself, subtle and continuous. Tiny lives, working together, maintaining balance without ever needing applause. Your breath moves in. Your breath moves out. With each cycle, The garden invites you a little deeper, toward its roots, toward its beginnings. There is no edge here, no sudden drop. Only a gradual sense of drifting inward, like following a quiet path that has always been there. As the night settles further, you feel the garden drawing you along, deeper into understanding, deeper into rest. Something new is growing beneath the surface, something you are just beginning to notice. And as your awareness drifts forward, like a breeze moving through branches, the soil prepares to reveal its first invisible sprouts. You move deeper now, not by walking, but by settling. The garden responds to your stillness, opening spaces beneath the surface. Soil darkens, grows richer, softer, holding stories older than thought. Your breath stays slow and even, a steady companion as awareness drifts downward. Here, near the roots, time feels different. It does not march forward. It spreads outward, like moisture through earth. This is where the first invisible sprouts appear, long before you ever notice the garden at all. Life arrives early, earlier than memory, earlier than choice. Before you know how to name yourself, tiny settlers arrive and begin their quiet work. They do not ask permission. They simply take root. You imagine them now, microscopic seeds settling into warm soil, finding places where they fit naturally. Some cling gently to surfaces. Some drift until they find familiar ground. Together, they form the earliest patterns of the garden, shaping the space simply by being present. There is something comforting about this. You were never waiting to be filled. You were welcomed immediately, surrounded by life that recognized opportunity and settled in with care. Nothing about you began empty. The garden hums softly, a layered sound you feel more than hear. Your chest warms as your breath continues its rhythm. In and out. Each breath feels like an echo of something ancient, a pattern shared by roots and leaves and soil. Science explains that microbes arrive through contact, through nourishment, through the simple act of being alive in a living world. Here, in the garden, it feels more like a quiet gathering. Neighbors arriving one by one, setting down their bags, learning the shape of the place. Some microbes specialize in breaking things down, turning fallen leaves into nourishment. Others help build barriers, gentle fences that mark where the garden begins and ends. None of them work alone. They function as a crowd, but not a noisy one. More like a group that knows when to speak and when to simply stand together. You feel a steady pulse beneath your awareness, calm and reassuring. The garden teaches without words, showing how belonging forms naturally when space is shared with care. This is not about perfection. It is about balance, about learning what feels right over time. A small, gentle smile crosses your mind as you imagine these microbes figuring things out together. There is something almost humorous about it. This quiet trial and error happening constantly without ever bothering you. Your body, it seems, prefers to handle logistics behind the scenes. The first sprouts do not grow upward. They grow outward, spreading through the soil, touching, overlapping, communicating through subtle signals. They teach the garden what belongs by staying, by filling space, by making themselves at home. You breathe in slowly. The warmth in your chest deepens. You breathe out, and the soil seems to soften further, as if responding to your calm. The garden listens, always listening. These early microbial settlers help train the garden's awareness. They introduce patterns, rhythms, expectations. They show the garden how to recognize familiar shapes, familiar movements, familiar presences. Not through force, but through repetition. Repetition is gentle. It does not rush. It simply continues until something feels known. You rest here, imagining time passing not in minutes, but in seasons of quiet growth. The garden does not hurry its sprouts. Each one unfolds when ready, guided by conditions rather than commands. There is a subtle reassurance in knowing that much of your protection begins this way. Not with alarms or defenses, but with community, with presence, with filling space so completely that harmful seeds find little room to settle. Your breath stays steady. Your shoulders relax further. The night air feels warmer now, less cool, more familiar. You feel held by the soil, supported by layers of quiet work happening beneath awareness. Some sprouts cluster together, forming early neighborhoods. Others spread out, exploring edges, learning boundaries. Together, they create a living map of the garden, one that updates constantly without needing supervision. It is almost amusing, in a sleepy way, how much effort goes into making things feel effortless. Your body excels at this kind of quiet competence. It has been practicing since the very beginning. As these first invisible sprouts grow, they begin to influence what comes next. They shape the soil's chemistry, its texture, its receptivity. Future arrivals take their cues from what is already there. Belonging, you realize, is contagious. You pause again, allowing a longer breath to move through you. The garden seems to sigh with you, a shared rhythm settling into place. There is no sense of threat here, only curiosity, only adaptation, only the steady unfolding of life responding to life. The sprouts do not compete loudly. They cooperate quietly. They exchange resources, share signals, adjust their behavior based on who surrounds them. This is how stability forms, not through dominance, but through relationship. Your mind feels softer as you take this in. Thoughts slow, spacing themselves farther apart. The idea that cooperation lives at the core of you feels deeply reassuring. As the garden matures, these early settlers remain. They remember the first rhythms. They hold the memory of welcome. Even as new microbes arrive later, these pioneers help guide them, teaching the garden how to stay balanced. You feel a gentle pulse in your body, steady and reliable. The scent of damp earth lingers in your imagination, rich and grounding. Everything here feels alive, but unhurried. You sense that some sprouts will take on special roles as the garden grows. Some will protect, some will nourish, some will simply exist, filling space with quiet presence. Your breath deepens naturally, without instruction. The garden responds again, leaves barely moving, soil settling. There is a sense of preparation, not for action, but for continuation. As you rest here, awareness drifting like a breeze through branches, you begin to notice how these early sprouts do not work alone for long. They gather, they cluster, they form friendly crowds. And as shadows lengthen gently between the plants, your breathing slows further, preparing you to observe the quiet work these crowds will soon begin. You stay close to the ground now, where the garden feels most alive. The soil is no longer empty space. It is busy, but quietly so, like a library after sunset. Here, the first sprouts you noticed earlier have grown into friendly crowds, clusters of tiny lives working side by side. You breathe in slowly. The air feels thicker here, layered with warmth and a gentle hum. Not a sound you hear exactly, but one you sense, a vibration of presence. You breathe out, and the feeling remains, steady and reassuring. These microbes do something surprisingly simple. They stay. They fill space. They make themselves comfortable. And by doing so, they create safety. In the garden, protection does not come from walls or weapons. It comes from fullness. When soil is already rich with life, there is little room for trouble to settle in. This is the quiet work of friendly crowds. You imagine them now, packed gently together, sharing resources, exchanging signals, adjusting to one another's rhythms. No one pushes. No one rushes. Each microbe takes up just enough space, leaving no gaps wide enough for chaos to slip through unnoticed. There is something deeply calming about this image. Safety through togetherness. Security through cooperation. It feels less like defense and more like belonging. Your breath continues its slow wave. With each cycle, your body seems to recognize this pattern, this preference for calm solutions. You feel your muscles soften slightly, as if relieved to remember that not everything requires effort. Scientifically, these microbial communities work by occupying surfaces and resources, making it harder for harmful organisms to gain a foothold. In the garden, it feels like a well-attended gathering. Every seat is taken. Every corner has company. You smile faintly at the thought. A garden party, perhaps, but one where everyone whispers and cleans up after themselves. It is not glamorous. It is effective. The crowds grow denser in certain areas, forming neighborhoods with distinct personalities. Some specialize in processing nourishment, turning what arrives into usable energy for the garden. Others focus on maintaining boundaries, reinforcing edges where the garden meets the outside world. None of them work alone for long. They rely on proximity, on feedback, on shared signals that pass like quiet nods between neighbors. This constant communication keeps the crowd balanced, responsive, alive. You feel gently surrounded, as if the garden itself is wrapping around you. Soft textures layer over one another. Nothing sharp, nothing jarring, just the sensation of being held within a system that knows what it is doing. Your breathing slows further. The pauses between breaths lengthen, becoming comfortable spaces rather than gaps. The garden seems to breathe with you, its rhythms syncing to your own. Sometimes you realize protection looks like silence. Not the absence of activity, but the absence of alarm. Friendly crowds do their work so well that there is no need to announce it. There is a gentle humor in this, too. Your body employs billions of tiny helpers, and none of them feel the need to brag. They simply keep things running smoothly, content with anonymity. You imagine one microbe glancing at another, if microbes could glance, sharing a quiet acknowledgement. Still here, still working, all is well. The garden thrives in this atmosphere of quiet competence. Balance emerges not because someone enforces it, but because the crowd naturally adjusts. When one area grows too dense, others expand. When resources shift, behaviors follow. This adaptability feels soothing. There is no rigidity here, no brittle structure waiting to crack. Everything bends slightly, yielding just enough to maintain harmony. You breathe in again. Warmth spreads through your chest and shoulders. You breathe out, and your jaw loosens, your tongue resting easily in your mouth. Your body seems to appreciate this reminder that cooperation is its default setting. The friendly crowds also teach the garden how to recognize what does not belong. Not through suspicion, but through contrast. When something unfamiliar appears, it stands out simply because everything else fits together so well. Belonging creates clarity. You linger with that thought, letting it settle. In the garden, fitting in is not about sameness. It is about compatibility, about contributing to the shared rhythm without disrupting it. Some microbes produce gentle substances that discourage unwanted guests. Not aggressively, more like subtle hints that the space is already taken. The garden does not fight. It suggests. You feel a wave of calm amusement at this. Your body, it seems, prefers polite boundaries. Firm, yes, but never rude. As the night deepens, the crowds continue their work. They shift slightly, responding to changes in temperature, nourishment, and internal signals. Nothing dramatic, just constant, mindful adjustment. You sense how much effort goes into making you feel stable without ever demanding attention. The thought feels comforting, almost tender. Your body cares in quiet ways. The soil beneath you feels alive, textured, layered with countless interactions happening at once. Yet your mind remains calm, unbothered by the complexity. You do not need to track every detail to benefit from the outcome. Your breathing becomes slower still. Each breath feels like a gentle agreement between you and the garden. The friendly crowds are not permanent in their exact arrangement. They change over time, responding to seasons, experiences, and needs. But the principle remains. Togetherness creates resilience. You rest in this understanding, allowing it to seep into you. Protection does not always look like defense. Sometimes it looks like being surrounded by quiet allies who simply refuse to leave space unattended. There is a sense of fullness now, not heavy, but complete. The garden feels occupied in the best way, alive with cooperative motion. Your body mirrors this feeling, settling into its own sense of sufficiency. As you linger, you begin to notice something else. Beyond the friendly crowds, at the edges of the garden, movement stirs. Not urgent, just different. Your breath slows further as shadows stretch gently between the plants. The night grows deeper, and somewhere beyond the crowded soil, unfamiliar seeds begin to drift closer, waiting to be noticed. You remain in the garden, your body a warm, breathing space, soil soft beneath you. roots winding invisibly through layers of memory and care. Your eyes drift slowly, adjusting to the subtle shifts in shadow and light. A breeze moves lightly over the surface, carrying hints of movement you have not seen before. Some seeds drift here, carried by wind, by air, by touch, or by chance. They are unfamiliar, tiny passengers entering the spaces between the friends you have grown to know. Your breath deepens, slow and steady, drawing warmth into your chest. The garden does not shiver at the new presence. It observes, quiet and attentive. You follow the rhythm of its observation, noticing without judgment, feeling without urgency. The unfamiliar seeds are small, barely perceptible at first. Yet their arrival sparks a subtle ripple through the soil, a gentle acknowledgement among the established inhabitants. The friendly crowds shift slightly, rearranging themselves with grace, making room without disruption. Protection does not shout here. It suggests. It adapts. You sense a curious balance forming. The garden knows that not all visitors are harmful, and not all strangers are welcome. It does not rush. It simply listens, allowing patterns to emerge naturally. Your body mirrors this awareness. Your muscles soften. Your jaw relaxes. Your awareness expands to include the edges. Science describes these moments as microbial encounters, small interactions that can lead to growth, cooperation, or exclusion. In your garden, it feels more like a conversation, a silent discussion carried out in signals, shifts, and gentle adjustments. Nothing is forced. Everything is gradual. The soil hums softly with these interactions, a music too low to hear but easy to feel. You pause for a long inhale. Your lungs fill with warmth and reassurance. You exhale, and the soil seems to settle, content in the knowledge that its patterns are flexible and resilient. Some microbes drift further inward, exploring the familiar territory. They approach cautiously, aware of the established community. Some clusters respond with polite barriers, subtle chemical suggestions, guiding newcomers gently to where they might belong. This is not confrontation. This is conversation through presence and persistence. The garden's boundaries are alive. Skin, gut, and other edges form subtle walls, channels, and thresholds. They respond to each drift of an unfamiliar seed, adjusting without panic, learning without blame. Your body, it seems, has mastered a quiet diplomacy. You feel a gentle warmth spreading through your chest and shoulders, a reminder that observation is sufficient. Protection need not shout. Balance does not require aggression. The garden thrives because it listens. Some seeds settle near the edges, becoming students in the ways of the garden. They watch, they adjust, they mirror the behavior of those who arrived first. The friendly crowds continue their work, unconcerned but attentive, showing how cooperation, belonging, and presence create a resilient ecosystem. Your mind drifts with these images, following the slow, patient motion of life beneath your awareness. It is almost amusing, in a quiet, tender way, to realize how much is happening without your direct input. Your body is competent in ways that are gentle, methodical, and invisible. A subtle chill passes over you. The air brushes your skin, but warmth returns quickly. You notice how sensations layer: coolness and warmth, shadow and light, movement and stillness. They blend, creating a calm rhythm that mirrors the garden itself. Science might frame this as competition or immune vigilance. Here, it feels like choreography. The garden accommodates, nudges, and harmonizes. The friendly crowds show their new neighbors the rhythm of coexistence. In return, the newcomers learn the boundaries and the shared songs of the soil. Your breath continues its steady cycle. Each wave of air seems to pulse with the subtle activity of the garden. It reminds you that even at the edges, life adapts gracefully, almost without effort. Some seeds are fleeting visitors. They drift through and leave. Others linger, settling into corners that match their needs, becoming part of the broader network without demanding attention. The garden does not scold. It does not punish. It absorbs, it adjusts, it teaches. You feel a faint smile at the wisdom of this system. Everything functions through presence, through gentle persistence, through relationship rather than force. Your body feels lighter, more spacious, more confident in its own rhythms. You might imagine a tiny group of microbes exchanging messages, invisible as wind yet as deliberate as a handshake. "Here is your place," one seems to say. "Yes, we notice," replies another. And so the garden expands its understanding slowly, without hurry. Balance here is not fragile. It is quiet, adaptable, capable of absorbing small disturbances with minimal disruption. Even unfamiliar seeds are invited to participate in this slow, shared intelligence. Your eyes, though closed or half-closed, trace shadows of movement beneath the surface. Your awareness floats along the paths that the new arrivals take, the gentle arcs of exploration, the polite signals exchanged. Your body mirrors this patience. You feel settled. You feel observed and protected without any need to act. The friendly crowds continue their work, adjusting, guiding, filling spaces, and teaching through presence. The new arrivals drift along the edges, learning how to coexist without demanding control. The garden thrives, not because it resists change, but because it accommodates growth with calm. You notice the pattern repeating itself: observation, adjustment, integration. Each cycle is subtle, yet it builds a stable foundation. The garden's wisdom is not rushed. It is layered. It is patient. A gentle humor surfaces again. The seeds do not know what they are missing. They cannot see the intricate choreography beneath them, and yet they settle anyway, becoming part of a system that has existed long before they arrived. Your breath deepens. You feel connected, anchored, aware that even when unfamiliar life drifts in, balance persists. The edges of the garden are alive, attentive, and steady. You are reminded of your own resilience. As the night stretches onward, you sense the garden preparing for new interactions. Not panic, not alarm, just readiness, quiet and patient. The unfamiliar seeds are noticed, accommodated, and guided without haste. Your breath lengthens naturally, carrying warmth and calm. The friendly crowds and the new seeds coexist, each learning from the other, each adjusting to the shared rhythm. And as you exhale fully, a soft awareness drifts outward. Beyond the edges of the garden, life continues, preparing to meet what comes next, unseen yet entirely present. The night is gentle, your breath is gentle, and somewhere ahead, the garden senses that the boundaries themselves hold stories yet to be told. A slow exhale carries you toward the borders of the garden. There, life waits quietly, ready for the next chapter. You follow the subtle trails that lead from the center of the garden outward. Your body hums softly beneath you, a familiar rhythm, steady and warm. The soil under your feet has grown textured, layered, responsive to your presence. Every step feels deliberate but effortless, like water tracing a riverbed. You are aware of boundaries now, edges that shape and protect, channels that guide flow. The first edge you notice is the skin. It is not just a cover. It is a living, breathing wall, dotted with invisible life that tends to it constantly. Microbes cluster here, quietly reinforcing the barrier, filling spaces that might otherwise feel empty. They do not shout. They do not fight. They simply exist, persistent and gentle, creating security through presence. You run your attention across your arms and legs, sensing the soft pulse of life. The friendly crowds you met earlier have migrated here, forming neighborhoods at the borders of the garden. They are watchful but not alarmed. They know when to signal, when to share resources, when to hold their ground. The garden does not need to micromanage. It is alive, learning as it goes. Your breath deepens, a long, gentle inhale. You feel warmth gather in your chest. Exhale, and your shoulders relax further. The skin listens, feels, adapts, carrying information from the world outside into the garden's interior. Not far beneath, your attention drifts to another boundary: the gut. Here, the soil flows like water through tunnels and chambers, winding, responsive, alive. Microbes line these pathways like tiny gardeners, shaping movement, breaking down nourishment, sharing signals with the rest of the garden. They do not rush. They simply facilitate, turning what arrives into sustenance for everyone. You feel a wave of comfort as you follow this flow. The belly is warm, soft, receptive. Your breath slows to match the rhythms you sense there. Each inhale carries warmth to the edges. Each exhale releases tension, letting the garden settle around you. Science tells us that microbes here assist digestion, support immunity, and communicate with distant parts of the body. In the garden, it feels like a network of quiet couriers, moving messages along invisible pathways. They whisper gently to the soil, to the roots, to the friendly crowds you encountered earlier. Everything is connected. Everything is responsive. Some microbes patrol the edges of the skin, leaving tiny traces that discourage unwelcome visitors. Some line the gut, gently managing the flow of nutrients, teaching the garden which arrivals are welcome and which are not. They are not aggressive. They do not attack unnecessarily. They negotiate, adjust, respond, forming living walls that are flexible, intelligent, alive. Your breath continues to expand, slow and warm. Each cycle resonates with the garden's quiet intelligence. You feel held. You feel maintained. You feel that the edges of your being are wise. The skin and gut form more than boundaries. They are pathways, too, allowing movement, exchange, and communication. Signals travel along these channels, subtle and persistent. Nutrients, chemical cues, messages from microbes, whispers of change. They all move without urgency, without fanfare, carried along the currents that life itself provides. You pause for a long inhale, feeling the weight of these pathways, the gentle intelligence they carry. The friendly crowds you observed before are now everywhere along these routes, attending to their tasks without distraction. There is a kind of quiet choreography here. Every movement, every signal, every exchange is synchronized to maintain balance and health. You notice patterns repeating themselves, like waves moving through leaves or ripples along a pond. Edges respond to disturbances not by force, but by adjustment. A shift in one area prompts a ripple elsewhere. A message travels down the gut or across the skin, and tiny lives respond, rearranging themselves, filling gaps, creating cohesion. The garden at the boundaries feels surprisingly social. Microbes communicate constantly, exchanging nutrients, chemical signals, and guidance. The walls are not rigid. They are alive, like living lace, woven together by countless small decisions made in parallel. The garden's intelligence is distributed, quiet, resilient. You feel a warmth spreading along your arms, your chest, your belly. You smile faintly, realizing how much care is happening while you do almost nothing. The edges of the garden hold stories of welcome, protection, and cooperation. Even unfamiliar seeds that drift in at the borders are met with soft guidance, taught how to fit in without displacing others. Your awareness lingers along the pathways, feeling the gentle motion of life as it circulates. You notice currents of energy, subtle movements that carry signals across the soil, along the skin, through the gut. The garden listens, responds, adjusts. You, too, follow its rhythm, letting your breath align with the gentle flow. Some microbes are specialists. Some manage nourishment. Some manage defense. Some simply observe, filling space, adding quiet weight to the community. Together, they form a network that is both protective and nurturing. The garden knows that boundaries are not walls of isolation. They are gates, guides, connectors. They allow passage, they provide information, they maintain structure. Everything here is alive with gentle purpose. You feel your muscles soften even more, your body melting slightly into the awareness of its own borders. You inhale warmth. You exhale tension. Your edges, your walls, your pathways, they all hum with quiet competence. Some microbes drift along the gut in flowing currents, sensing nutrients, guiding their neighbors. Others linger near the skin, forming networks that respond to touch, temperature, and subtle environmental cues. The garden is both delicate and strong. It does not need you to manage it, only to notice it, to breathe with it. You smile again softly. There is humor here, too. Tiny lives managing everything so gracefully while you recline, almost invisible observers, quietly orchestrating harmony without effort. Your awareness drifts gently back toward the center, then outward along the edges again. The skin and gut are alive, each a microcosm of the larger garden. They guide, they teach, they adapt. And your breath mirrors them, slow and deliberate, warm and steady. You sense messages traveling beneath the surface. Chemical whispers, gentle nudges, signals exchanged between microbes and tissue. These messages prepare the garden for what lies ahead, readying the soil, roots, and edges for new arrivals, changes, and continued growth. You feel the weight of this intelligence. It is not heavy, only reassuring. Your body, your garden, your edges, they know how to care for themselves. You are held. You are maintained. You are guided. As the night deepens, your attention lingers on the flowing pathways of the gut, the quiet neighborhoods along the skin. Each movement, each signal, each adjustment is subtle yet vital. The friendly crowds continue their work, ever present, ever persistent, teaching new arrivals and supporting old residents alike. Your breath lengthens, carrying calm through your chest, your belly, your arms. You feel fully anchored in the garden, fully present, yet fully relaxed. The edges are alive, responsive, intelligent. And you know that the next chapter waits just beyond the soil, where roots whisper to each other and messages pass silently beneath the surface. A soft exhale carries you lower, toward the quiet conversations beneath the roots. Here, in the calm and steady flow, you drift, ready to listen. You drift gently downward, guided by the soft pulse of your breath. Each inhalation brings warmth into your chest. Each exhalation lets the garden settle around you. The soil under your feet grows denser, textured with unseen motion. Tiny roots weave through the earth, brushing against one another, exchanging signals as silently as wind through leaves. You sense the quiet life here, the conversations that happen without words, without urgency. This is the domain of microbes beneath the roots, the caretakers of balance, the listeners of the garden. Your awareness expands. You notice currents moving through the soil, gentle flows of information and nourishment. Microbes communicate with each other, and with the garden's immune system, subtle messages like droplets of water traveling along hidden channels. There is no shouting, no alarms, only listening. You breathe slowly, imagining the soil alive with activity. Each microbe carries a role, a function, a tiny voice in a vast network. Some detect intruders, some offer sustenance, some simply observe. Together, they form a conversation that maintains the garden's balance. Science explains that microbes interact with immune cells, signaling what is safe and what is not. Here, in your garden, it feels like roots sharing water, exchanging messages, and adjusting to subtle changes in the environment. No one commands, no one orders. The garden learns collectively, through presence and attention. Your chest expands slightly as you inhale. A gentle warmth spreads through your belly, a comfort that is both bodily and mental. You feel the steady rhythm of life, the quiet hum beneath awareness. The soil is alive with dialogue. You are part of it simply by noticing. Some microbes cluster near the tips of roots, exchanging subtle chemical signals that ripple through the network. The friendly crowds you have met before are present here too, guiding newcomers, sharing information, and shaping responses with calm precision. The garden knows what to accept and what to calm. It adapts without drama. You pause for a long, slow inhale. Your lungs fill completely. You exhale, and the soil seems to sink slightly, as if acknowledging your presence, as if the garden itself sighs with relief that you are still here, still observing, still breathing. The conversations beneath the roots are intricate yet unobtrusive. Microbes signal to immune cells, helping them learn the difference between friend and foe. Your body trusts these signals. You trust these signals. There is no need to intervene. You imagine droplets of light moving along the roots, tracing the paths of messages passing from microbe to immune cell and back again. It is almost funny, in a quiet way, that so much coordination happens without your awareness, without applause, without recognition. Your body excels at subtlety. It thrives in gentle communication. The garden here is collaborative. No microbe acts alone for long. They exchange resources, cues, and attention, forming networks that stretch far beyond what you can see. These networks maintain harmony, predict potential disturbances, and prepare responses, all silently, all calmly. You feel warmth spreading through your chest, the space behind your eyes softening. Your jaw relaxes, your shoulders melt. The knowledge that life beneath the soil is attentive, intelligent, and cooperative settles into your body. Some microbes act as scouts, detecting changes in nutrients, in chemical composition, or in the arrival of new organisms. Others amplify calming signals, teaching the immune system which guests to welcome and which to observe more closely. Everything works through cooperation. Everything flows like water through roots, following channels that have existed long before your attention arrived. You sense that even your mind participates in this conversation. Not directly, not with thought, but with awareness. You notice subtleties in your mood, a sense of calm, a quiet steadiness. These echoes are the garden's influence reaching upward, a reflection of harmony below. You pause again, taking a deliberate inhale. The rhythm aligns with the subtle flows beneath the soil. Your breath is a bridge between your awareness and the invisible conversations beneath your feet. Some microbes patrol the network more actively, sensing disruptions and signaling adjustments. They do not panic. They do not attack rashly. They nudge, suggest, and guide. The garden trusts in this quiet communication, allowing the system to self-regulate. You notice patterns repeating like gentle waves. A cluster signals. A neighboring group responds. The immune cells adjust. Messages return in soft ripples. Balance is maintained without force. Your awareness drifts like water through the roots. You feel present in the moment, yet you also feel the broader activity of life beneath you. There is order in what seems invisible. There is calm in what seems complex. The garden beneath the roots feels almost musical. Each interaction contributes to a layered harmony, a soft resonance you sense more than hear. You smile faintly, appreciating the subtle humor of life operating so effectively while remaining unseen. Your body seems to relax further. Every exhale releases tension. Every inhale carries warmth and grounding. The conversations beneath the roots teach the garden to adjust without panic, to accept without chaos, to respond without haste. You imagine tiny droplets of energy flowing through the soil, carrying nutrients, chemical cues, and information. They ripple outward, touching friendly crowds, reaching edges, moving toward boundaries. The garden listens, always attentive, learning collectively. You listen with it, breathing along the rhythm. Some messages are reinforced, some fade gently. Some microbes retreat to observe, some advance to communicate more directly. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is hurried. Everything contributes to the subtle intelligence of the garden. Your chest rises softly. Your shoulders loosen further. The warmth in your belly spreads, a comforting pulse. The garden beneath the roots continues its quiet work, secure in the knowledge that you notice, that you breathe, that you are present but relaxed. Some microbes send chemical signals to the gut, some to the skin. Some alert the immune system to adjust, to calm, to prepare for potential arrivals. You feel the harmony of these networks deep in your chest, a sense of order that feels effortless and soft. The garden has a memory carried in these conversations. Patterns of tolerance, signals of welcome, subtle cues of caution. All are passed along without words. Your body trusts these messages. You trust these messages. Together, you and the garden participate in this ancient dialogue, quietly, gently, without urgency. A long, slow exhale carries you further along the network beneath the roots. The rhythms settle into a near-invisible pulse. You feel the garden's knowledge, its awareness, its calm intelligence. And even as your thoughts soften, you sense a faint echo reaching upward. The friendly crowds, the edges, the soil above, they are aware. They are adjusting, responding, maintaining balance. The garden continues to teach, to guide, to protect. You linger here for a moment, breathing with the flow of information. Each exchange, each signal, each adjustment is subtle yet vital. The conversation beneath the roots carries on quietly, patiently, steadily. You are included in this rhythm, not as a commander, but as a calm witness. A gentle, soft exhale drifts from your lungs. You feel prepared to notice the effects of these conversations in thought and mood. And somewhere ahead, the garden's influence begins to rise upward, reaching the mind itself, bringing calm, clarity, and peace. Thoughts soften as your breathing becomes barely noticeable, and the soil beneath the roots hums on, ready to guide the next chapter of the garden's quiet work. You settle deeper into the garden, feeling the warmth from the soil rise through your feet and legs. Each inhalation draws the gentle hum of life upward. Each exhalation releases tension, creating space for awareness to expand. The roots, the soil, the friendly crowds of microbes, they are all here, present, patient, guiding. Your mind begins to soften. You notice subtle shifts in mood, small flickers of calm moving from your belly to your chest, to the space behind your eyes. It is as if the garden reaches upward, extending invisible threads that connect body and mind. Some microbes send signals along the gut-brain pathway, quiet chemical messages that influence the nervous system. They do not push. They do not demand. They suggest, they whisper, they guide gently. You feel the effect in a warmth behind your eyes, a loosening jaw, a softening of thought. Breath moves slowly through you. The rhythm is steady, mirroring the hum of life beneath the soil. Each pulse, each microsignal carries reassurance. The garden does not force calm. It cultivates it quietly, persistently, like water soaking slowly into roots. You sense the friendly crowds you have met earlier still at work. Some reinforce the edges of the skin and gut. Others send signals beneath the roots. And some extend their influence upward, touching your mind through subtle chemical rhythms. It is a conversation without words, a dialogue without hurry, a connection that feels like warmth pooling in your chest. The garden teaches you patience. It shows that peace is not imposed. It grows. It spreads naturally without effort. You notice thoughts slowing, forming wider spaces between them, gentle intervals that feel safe and expansive. A gentle smile touches your awareness. There is humor here, too, subtle and unspoken. Your body, your garden, your mind, all orchestrated by invisible caretakers, have been quietly maintaining harmony while you rested, unaware, unbothered. You inhale slowly, letting warmth rise from your belly to your chest. You exhale and the edges of thought relax. The garden's influence is gentle, patient, pervasive. It reminds you that care can be subtle, protection can be soft, balance can exist without alarm. You imagine a small stream flowing from the roots toward your mind, carrying nutrients, signals, calm energy. Each drop strengthens the connection between the invisible networks beneath your feet and the spaces behind your eyes. The microbes whisper in their chemical language, "All is well. You are safe. We are here." Breath deepens, slow and long. You feel a quiet heaviness behind the eyes, a softening in the forehead. Your thoughts drift like leaves in water, floating without resistance, guided gently along the current of awareness. The garden does not insist that peace remain. It does not control. It cultivates conditions in which tranquility naturally emerges. Some microbes adjust signaling. Some clusters exchange subtle cues. All participate in the slow shaping of calm. You sense the echoes of microbial conversations in the edges of your own mind. It is like noticing a distant hum in the air, a vibration that influences everything without drawing attention to itself. Your body understands. Your mind relaxes in response. Some microbes continue their subtle work at the margins, reinforcing boundaries, smoothing interactions, ensuring that new arrivals do not disturb the flow. The garden's edges are alive, responsive, adaptive. They shape how the mind receives signals, how it interprets quiet, how it allows calm to spread. You breathe in again. Your awareness drifts through the soft, layered textures of the garden, feeling the flow of intelligence beneath the soil, along the edges, through the gut, up into the mind. Every inhalation invites warmth. Every exhalation releases tension. Peace arrives slowly. It is not imposed by will. It grows from presence, from interaction, from the quiet work of countless tiny lives attending to the balance of the whole. You notice how even the briefest shift in microbial signaling can ripple outward, adjusting mood, supporting relaxation, shaping mental clarity. The friendly crowds maintain rhythm, reinforcing connection, reminding new arrivals to respect boundaries, nurturing calm through persistence. Even the unfamiliar seeds drifting in at the edges begin to influence your awareness gently, adding subtle signals that integrate into the broader pattern without alarm. You rest in this observation. Your chest rises and falls with soft certainty. The warm pulse behind your eyes continues. Your jaw loosens. The subtle heaviness in your limbs reminds you of presence, of grounding, of the gentle intelligence of life flowing through and around you. You notice how the garden has taught your body patience, resilience, and subtlety. It demonstrates that care does not need urgency. Protection does not require alarm. Balance is created through presence and cooperation, not force. And you, breathing slowly, notice it. You participate in it simply by allowing it to be. Some microbes produce molecules that influence neurotransmitters, calming stress responses, gently shaping mood. You feel their effect, soft and pervasive, like warm light spilling into corners of the mind. Thoughts drift lazily. Worries fade like shadows at dawn. The body knows what to tolerate, what to encourage, what to quiet. You pause to inhale deeply, letting warmth flow through the belly, chest, and up to your head. Exhale slowly. The garden moves with you, adjusts with you, hums quietly beneath awareness. The friendly crowds continue their dialogue, responding to subtle changes in mood, reinforcing patterns of calm. Even now, you feel how gardens can be disturbed gently, unintentionally, perhaps by sudden stress, sudden thoughts, brief disturbances in rhythm. Yet the garden does not panic. It recalibrates. It reminds you that recovery is a quiet, patient process. The friendly crowds adjust signals, communicate with edges, share guidance across routes and pathways, restoring balance with gentle persistence. Your breathing elongates, the pause between inhale and exhale widening into a slow wave. You feel supported, held, and maintained. Calm does not arrive all at once. It grows, it spreads. It fills the spaces that tension once occupied, without effort, without force, without alarm. A faint warmth pools behind your eyes, a soft echo in the chest. Your jaw loosens further. The body relaxes in agreement with the garden. Thoughts slow, forming a gentle rhythm, in harmony with the invisible conversations beneath the soil. The garden's work continues silently, yet you feel it, fully present. Balance is not imposed. Peace is cultivated. Your mind rests in its effects, aware and unmoving, calm and open. You linger here, in the soft embrace of microbial influence, sensing the connection between body, soil, roots, and mind. Each inhale carries warmth. Each exhale releases tension. The friendly crowds, the edges, the root networks, all hum quietly together, shaping calm. As the night deepens, a soft awareness rises toward the surface of thought. The mind receives the echoes of the garden's intelligence. Attentive, gentle, patient. You feel it spread, a quiet glow in the spaces behind your eyes. A longer pause between breaths invites stillness. And somewhere beyond, the garden notices the potential for change, readying the next moments. You rest in its calm, aware that life continues to shape thought, and thought continues to drift with life. A soft exhale carries you forward. The garden's influence rises toward your awareness, ready to guide you to the edges, where disruption, care, and recovery await. You settle into the center of the garden, feeling warmth under your feet and soft hum beneath your skin. Your breath moves slowly. You are aware of the currents in the soil, the whispers of roots, the the chatter of the friendly crowds. And yet, you notice subtle shifts. Some soil feels thinner than before. Edges wobble lightly, just enough to sense the movement. The garden has encountered something new, an unfamiliar influence, a disturbance, a gentle imbalance. Your body notices, your awareness follows, but there is no urgency. The friendly crowds adjust slowly, realigning themselves, communicating in whispers that pass beneath the surface. They exchange subtle chemical messages. Observe, adjust, restore. They do not shout. They do not panic. They simply move, a tide of quiet attention. You inhale, filling your chest with warmth, your lungs expanding with calm. You exhale, letting the body release tension. The soil beneath you softens under your presence, layers settling, shifting subtly in response to gentle care. The garden remembers. It does not forget the rhythms that sustain it. Some microbes withdraw slightly, observing the change, measuring the space, learning how to respond. Others advance gently, nudging balance back into place. Everything is subtle. Nothing is forced. Even when disrupted, the garden operates with intelligence, patience, and persistence. You sense the pathways beneath the skin and gut adjusting. Signals travel from edges to roots and back again, passing information quietly. Chemical messages ripple softly, telling the friendly crowds how to respond, where to reinforce, and where to yield. The soil does not panic. The microbes do not scold. They negotiate. Your awareness drifts like water through these shifting layers. You notice patterns repeating, subtle waves that indicate gentle adaptation. A root brushes a tiny cluster of microbes. A signal travels upward. Another cluster shifts to fill a gap. All is calm, yet in motion, alive with quiet competence. Science explains that stress, illness, and certain medicines can thin microbial populations, alter chemical signaling, or temporarily change community structure. In the garden, this feels like a slight ripple across the soil, a moment when familiar rhythms pause to allow adjustment. The garden does not panic. It observes. It remembers. You feel your chest rise and fall with the soft awareness of this process. Each inhalation brings warmth. Each exhalation releases worry. Your body mirrors the garden's rhythm, patient and observant. You are not required to act. You are simply present, noticing, breathing, allowing the soil to adjust beneath you. Some microbes specialize in repair. They move deliberately, replenishing layers, smoothing paths, reinforcing the edges where disturbance is felt most. They exchange chemical cues that ripple gently through the soil, guiding clusters back toward balance. Even unfamiliar seeds at the edges are met with careful guidance. Your awareness lingers on the gut, following its flowing pathways as they adjust to subtle disruption. Signals pass silently, guiding immune cells, nudging friendly crowds, and reinforcing edges. The network is resilient. It remembers patterns of care and harmony. It slowly returns to a steady rhythm without alarm, without effort beyond its quiet work. You breathe slowly, your body absorbing the calm intelligence of the garden. The friendly crowds continue their subtle choreography, adjusting to each shift, reinforcing stability, sending reminders of presence and continuity. A faint warmth spreads behind your eyes. Your jaw loosens. Your shoulders melt. You feel the subtle heaviness of observation, a weight that is grounding, anchoring you in calm awareness. The garden is not rigid. It does not resist gently imposed change. It adapts. It remembers. It recovers. You notice small pockets where the soil has thinned. Clusters of microbes move to reinforce these areas, communicating through signals invisible yet potent. The edges of the garden respond, adjusting barriers, sending messages to the roots below. Balance is restored through patient presence. Caretaking is subtle, gentle, effective. You inhale again, long and deliberate. Exhale slowly. The garden continues its work beneath awareness, restoring harmony through quiet motion, soft adjustment, and patient attention. You are held in this rhythm. You are part of it simply by noticing. Some disturbances are fleeting. Some are longer, requiring more patience. The garden responds appropriately, scaling its care to the need, never overreacting, never panicking. Friendly crowds fill gaps. Edges shift subtly. Signals ripple quietly, guiding recovery. Your mind softens with the rhythm of these adjustments. Thoughts slow. Emotions settle. Even subtle stress is absorbed, integrated, acknowledged without alarm. The garden's intelligence echoes in your awareness, a soft, persistent reminder of resilience. You notice how the friendly crowds at the edges exchange signals with each other, coordinating response. Some microbes amplify calming signals. Some reinforce physical barriers. Some act as observers, documenting subtle shifts for future memory. Every role matters. Every action is gentle. Every adjustment is part of the slow, patient restoration of balance. You exhale fully, letting awareness drift toward the edges of the garden. The soil feels softer, the roots more aligned, the friendly crowds attentive but relaxed. The disturbance has been observed, processed, and gently managed. Your body feels heavier in a comforting way, anchored by the intelligence of countless tiny caretakers. Some seeds at the margins sense these adjustments. They settle into place, learning from the gentle choreography around them. Even new arrivals are accommodated thoughtfully, guided into roles that maintain harmony without disruption. You feel warmth in your chest, a soft pulse that spreads through your belly, shoulders, and arms. Breath is slow, deliberate, and steady. You are part of this quiet restoration, yet you are also allowed to rest, to observe without action, to trust in the garden's memory. The soil remembers. It holds patterns of balance. It knows how to recover from subtle disturbances. The friendly crowds act patiently, coordinating repair through invisible signals. Even when unfamiliar seeds drift into the garden, the system adapts, nudging them gently into harmony without force. Your body, your breath, your awareness align with these rhythms. You feel safe. You feel observed. You feel maintained. A final wave of warmth pools behind your eyes. Your jaw releases. Your shoulders fall. The soil beneath you hums with activity, quietly tending itself, restoring harmony, remembering balance. And as your breath lengthens, slow and steady, you sense the next moment awaiting. The ways in which nourishment, care, and gentle routines feed the garden, ensuring that what protects you continues to thrive. Your exhale carries you forward, soft and deliberate, toward the rhythms of care that nurture what already protects you.